खुशियाँ हमें बिखेर रही है, दबे दबे पाँव से कुछ कह रही है। आज दिन कुछ खास है, पधारे आज प्रांगण में खास मेहमान है। तालियों के साथ स्वागत करें इनका, ये हमारी महफिल की जान है। Reverend resource person of the day, respected teachers and dear aspirants of administration. First of all, I would like to welcome sir, respected Rakesh Sharma sir, retired IAS officer. On behalf of SLM IAS Academy, this is going to be an important session on Tribal Subplan and single line administration. But before that interesting session, I would like to give brief introduction of our Reverend Speaker Sir about his career and education. Sir is a postgraduate in economics and awarded by gold medal and done his MPhil in economics. And in education, Sir taught about 6 years in different colleges of Himachal Pradesh. And Sir has been a guest faculty in Himachal Institute of Public Administration. And Sir has been a topper of HS batch in 1988 and Sir became IAS in 2003. Sir joined Tribal Development Department in 1984 as the first regular Assistant Commissioner. In HS, Sir started as Sub-Divisional Magistrate. Sir retired as Special Secretary to the Chief Minister. Dear friends, I would not like to deprive you of his ideas on Tribal Subplan and single line administration. Please listen to Sir attentively as it is a rare opportunity to learn from the Sir who has vast experience of services and unparalleled wisdom. So now I would like to call respected Sir on the dais to enlighten us.
Well, dear students, it's such a great pleasure to be with you. I have been associated with this academy and I really find that every year I get the opportunity of meeting the faculty here, and many times I have been a part of the mock interviews and feel very happy when I see the candidates selected in HS, and a very large number I find comes from this academy. I'm very happy about it and so wish that I meet you in the mock interview, then I see you in the interview in Simla, and thereafter joining you at KIRPA, and that will be the happiest stage for me if I able to meet you in the KIRPA academy. That is the competition course, right? So I wish you all the best. I'll speak on tribal development. I'll not go into the details of what is a scheduled tribe or what is a tribal area. You must be aware that our constitution provides for scheduled areas and scheduled tribes, right? There's an article 244 which says that the scheduled areas will be governed by the 5th and 6th schedule. You are aware that there are 2 schedules. 5th schedule for the tribal areas of states like Himachal Pradesh and 6th schedule for the tribal areas of Northeastern, right? Now, if you go to the 5th schedule tells us about the administration and control of the tribal areas and the tribal people. Now, the question arises, how an area becomes scheduled area? And normally, these are the criteria. Only yesterday I was reading that the Ministry of Tribal Development is thinking of changing the criteria. But presently, the scheduled areas, in scheduled area number 1, it must have a scheduled tribe population. I'll come to the schedule, what is scheduled tribe later on, but for the time being, simply assume that there's a tribe, right? Then it has to be compact. A scheduled area, it is not that we have a small tribe there, then at the other end of the state, then you see the whole area will not be the scheduled area. It has to be compact administrative unit. It can be a block, it can be a tehsil, it can be a district, right? And then you see the area normally is backward. You see, it is economically backward, so that area becomes the scheduled area. Now, if you see Himachal Pradesh, in Himachal Pradesh, Kinnaur district entirety, entire Kinnaur district, right? And then Lahore and Spiti district, and then Pange and Bharmor. Chamba has other parts also. You are aware Chamba is there, Tisa is there, but only Pange and Bharmor subdivisions of Chamba district are the scheduled areas of Himachal Pradesh. You must also be aware that presently there is a demand of declaring scheduled tribes of a particular district. Are you aware?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Hati, right. Now, if you see it, on the map, see, we are starting from Kinnaur, then from Kinnaur, we are into Spiti. From Spiti, you see Geelong, and then you see this Pange, which school area is contiguous area. And thereafter, there are two pockets. I'll come to this later on. But this whole area, which is contiguous, which is about 42% of the state's area. You must be aware that's a very, very big area. 42% of the state's area is tribal area, right? So, have you ever done this? Have you covered this part? Anyone of you? Have you? Not. You have seen it now. By the way, it's a very beautiful tourism circuit these days. You see what tourists do? They enter Himachal from Parvanu or say from Paonta side. Then you see they go to Kinnaur. From Kinnaur they go to Kazakh Spiti. Then we have very good monastery. It's a cold desert, and we go to cross Kunzam, enter Geelong. Then from Geelong, you see we can come via Manali, Kullu, and we return to Chandigarh. So this has become a very important circuit. This is a tourism circuit also. Then scheduled tribes. These are the important features of the scheduled tribe community. It's okay, I'll try to manage. The first characteristic is that you see it is indicative of primitive trade. What is a primitive trade? Basically, they are all private, for example. So we have, when there is no dilution in the trades, you see, then, for example, say all mammals have hair. So this is a particular trait. So similarly, you see, within the community, they have peculiar features, right? And peculiar traits. You will find this, you can, even by looking at the person from speak, you can see that this is tribal, right? Then you see, we have distinct culture. In culture, you see how we live, what are our fair festival, what is our dress, what are our ornaments. You see, these are. Then you see, normally tribal people are shy of contact. Now the things are different because there is so much exposure. But earlier, even you see certain tribes, if you go to Andaman Nicobar, still you see we have a tribe which is shy of contact with the outsiders. But now, of course, this, and then relatively they are economically backward, right? So this must have been giving. This must have given you some basic idea what is the tribal area and what is the how the community is declared as scheduled tribe. And in Himachal Pradesh, you see, presently, although we have 42% as tribal area, but very little population is living there. And you'll be surprised that out of the total scheduled tribes, about 62%, they live outside tribal area. Say, for example, GURJI'S, GURJI'S, they have migrated from generally, they are living outside tribal areas. And so these are the major tribes. Both they are from mainly from South Spiti, but many of them are migrated to Kullu. GURJI'S, they are from Chamba, but a large number has migrated to Kangra, right? So GURJI'S you will find in all districts except Lahore, Spiti, Kinnaur, very minor, right? Then Jad, Napa, Khampa, they are also from Lahore, but now they have migrated to Kullu. The Kinauras, Lahalas, Lahore, Pangwals, Kangis, you are aware of these things, I suppose, right? Now in Silvau, you see the bill was placed in Rajya Sabha on 30th of March after for discussion, but somehow due to the present situation in Parliament, it could not be discussed. it could not be laid and it could not be discussed. So otherwise, by now, the Hati community, you see, might have emerged as one of the scheduled tribes. Now, this tells you that, you see, 42% of the tribal area is of Himachal Pradesh. See, it constitutes the total geographical area, and hardly 2.53% population lives there. So, what is the implication of this? So, consequently, the density of population is very less. It's as low as 2 in cities, right? So, because of this, and another important thing is that growth population, the cattle is very low in tribal areas. And you will be surprised that Lahore, there was you see it recorded minus population. Can there be a reason why it was minus? Migration, yes. Where they have migrated? Yes. Not they have migrated permanently, but you see in the previous census, the reason was that you see they had come to Kullu by when the census was taking place. So they were recorded in Kullu instead of Lahore. Right? So now I come to the tribal subplan. See, initially, the tribal areas prior to 1974, there was no special plan for tribal areas. The concept of planning for the tribal area started in 1974. And in the fifth plan, it was considered that we must earmark funds for the tribal areas so that they have their own plans of development. Actually, in reality, the situation was that planning department, which was doing the planning for the state, it had many other priorities. You see, tribal area population was very small, so it was giving more importance to other districts. You see, other departments, say major departments of PWD, IPH, major districts, Kangra, Shimla, and other districts, they were getting the priority. So then, you see, a similar situation was happening in other states. So it was decided that we should have a plan exclusively for the scheduled castes, similarly for scheduled tribes, scheduled castes. Subsequently, it came for backward areas also. And then it was decided that we should earmark So, see, 1974 says 1974-75, we started, right? But at that point of time, what was the system? How in planning? I'll tell you the practical side. This is a department known as planning department. Planning departments, suppose it has to give, suppose the total plan is of 100 rupees. Now there are different departments of the government. Say, there is a department PWD, there is a department IPH, there is a department education. So what planning department used to tell us that it would request PWD department that please allot some amount which should be used exclusively for tribal area. So actually the fund will go out of this 100 rupees, 20 will go to say PWD, say 10 will go to IPH, 15 will go to education. Then you see they were asked to earmark a particular portion for the tribal areas. So then you see PWD used to say that out of 20 rupees I can only earmark 1 rupee for the tribal area. IPH used to say I can only earmark 2 rupees for the tribal area because my need of other area is very big. Education would say yeah, I can only give 1 rupee for tribal area. So then what we used to do, we used to collate these funds that education will spend this much, PWD will spend this much, IPH will spend this much, and whatever the total, that was known as Tribal Subplan. That was known as TSP. right? So we used to coalesce or merge the amount earmarked by all the departments for the tribal areas, right? But then you see every department are hesitant. Every department was unwilling to earmark funds for the tribal areas because the need of other districts was very, there was so much of demand from other areas. And this continued. And in the meantime, Tribal Development Department came into being, and it kept on trying that we should get more funds for the tribal areas. So we started with about 3.5%. When we added to the plan of all the departments, it was about 3.5%. But subsequently, you see, it was decided that this strategy is wrong. It is a top-down strategy that you see it was the discretion of the department to earmark funds or not earmark funds. So it was decided that whatever is the plan, say there is a plan of 100 rupees, out of this 9% will go to Tribal Subplan. That whatever is the plan, if it is of 5,000 crore, 450 crore will go to the Tribal Subplan. Right? And this money was not controlled by the planning department. Earlier this was controlled by the planning department, but this was not controlled by the planning department, but this money was placed at the discretion of Tribal Development Department. Means now there are two departments, one planning department, the second Tribal Development Department. 91% funds were here and 9% funds were here. Now planning department, Tribal Development Department, you see, that allocates these funds to different departments, right? And now why this concept was introduced? What is the benefit of this? Now what happened before the start of the financial year, the Tribal Development Department gets 9% allocation, right? So then the one advantage is when the Tribal Subplan started, say if there is a district in North, a unit, you see, are you aware of the concept of ITDP? Integrity Tribal Development. How do you decide what is ITDP?
All the departments are integrated. Kind of single level thing. They synchronize and regulate with the.
No, firstly, ITDP actually is basically an administrative unit. It can be a block. It can be subdivision, it can be district, where more than 50% population is tribal. This is the basic criteria of ITDP. That more than 50% population has to be tribal, right? So in Himachal, the first thing that was done, that we constituted ITDPs. And there are 5 ITDPs, right? There is only one ITDP of North, second of Lahore, third Spiti, Pangli, and Bharwan. Now you see, North is a district. It has of course 3 blocks, but there is one ITDP. And now you see what was happening. So North, Lahore, Spiti, and Bharwan, right? Now, what was the advantage of making this? That now this 9%, this money is before the beginning of the financial year. I mean, this, for example, now this is March. The next financial year is coming in from 1st April to 31st March. So the money has already been conveyed to them. That you see, this percentage is going to be allotted in North. This is going to be Lahore. This is to Spiti, Pangli, Bharwan, right? Now, a criteria was devised on the basis of number 1, population. Number 2, area. And number 3, relative backwardness. It was decided that on this basis the funds would be allotted to the tribal areas, right? Yes. On the basis of this criteria, you see, 20% area, 40% population, 40% relative backwardness. And it was decided that 30% will go to Kinnaur, 60% to Spiti, 80% Lahore, Panki, and then Vermont. This is the allocation. Now, whatever is the tribal subplan, that goes to these areas. Now, in these areas, there is a committee known as earlier. You see what was happening in the state, that when the funds were allotted for the tribal area, they were actually controlled by the departments. They were diverting the funds from tribal areas to the non-tribal areas. I give you an example. That there was fund available in the tribal plan. They would buy a vehicle. They would buy a vehicle in the name of ITD scheme. Right? But after 1 or 2 months, that will be transferred to Shimla or Kangra. The officer sitting in Shimla or Kangra would be using it. Right? So then they would say that we don't need this fund in tribal area. So the scheme is not operating there. So they would divert the funds here, right? Now, the first thing is that earmarking to place that minimum 9% is to be earmarked for the tribal areas. Number 2, Commissioner Tribal Development was Chief Controlling Officer. The plan and the budget is controlled by the finance department. But tribal subplan is not controlled by the finance department, it is controlled by the tribal development department. And CT is the main person who decides, right? Now what happens in practical administration? There are so many activities in the budget. One department says that I have given 10 rupees for this, but I don't need it. I don't have this activity. Then what was happening? That money was lying unutilized. But now, CTD, you see, has the power to appropriate or reappropriate the funds. If it says that this is not required in PWD, he can divert without asking the finance department, he can divert it to education department, he can divert it to horticulture department, he can divert it to any department. See that is required, right? Because of this appropriation, the funds are fully utilized, means the funds do not lapse. The main advantage of having tribal subplan is that minimum 9% is spent. Then it is appropriated to a sector where they are required, and thirdly, they are fully utilized. Earlier, otherwise, the funds were not properly utilized. Okay. Now, if you are aware that ITDPs have a body known as PAC. PAC means Project Advisory Committee, right? What happens? That funds, say Kinnaur has been given 30%. Now the PAC, the District Acquisition Consultation PAC, will prepare the plan and send to the tribal department body. So it is a bottom-up approach now instead of top-down. Now it's a bottom-up approach that the plan is prepared at the bottom level, at the field level, PAC approves it, and then sends to tribal development audit. Then the plan of all the 5 activities is collated, and that becomes a tribal subplan, right? Now, to make it, you see, more effective, what was happening? You must be aware about the normal functioning of the departments, how the plans are made. Are you aware? You see what happens? System is that a department, head of department comes with a proposal to the secretary. Then the secretary sends it to the planning department. Then the planning department merges all the plans and that becomes a state plan. Right? But in this case, in tribal areas, it is the PAC which prepares the plans, sends it to tribal development department, then tribal development makes the tribal subplan. For this purpose, a separate demand, number 31. What is a demand? What is a budget demand? Are you aware? Whatever is appropriated for a department, whatever is spent by the department, the legislature authorizes the department, that is reflected in the demand. For example, say there is a department PWD. Whatever is spent in PWD department, that is reflected in demand number 10. The big departments have a separate demand, right? And small departments, they are merged together. Say IPH is a big department, education is a big department, they have separate demand. But in tribal area, we don't have separate demand for PWD, we don't have separate demand for IPH, we have a single demand in which expenditure of all the departments is shown, that is demand number 31. So, unique feature of this separate demand is that it has all the departments, whereas in individual demands, there is only one demand, right? Now, this demand is also controlled by the Commissioner Tribal Development, not by the Finance Department or Planning Department. So, if during the year, if one department is not able to utilize the funds, then you see the particular ITDP writes to the Commissioner Department that we don't need funds here, we need funds in B sector or in C sector, then CTD allows this diversion. So this ensures full utilization of funds. Okay. Now, to make it more effective, you see how the systems work. Say, in a normal district, say non-tribal districts, say Kangra, what will happen? There is a road, and the axial or the local administration feels that we don't need so much funds for this road. Say that road has been given 1 crore rupees, and the axial feels that out of this 1 crore, only 50 lakh is required, and this 50 lakh is surplus. This axiom will write to SC that, sir, we don't need this fund. Please divert it to the other road. SC will write to the chief engineer, sir, we don't need this fund. Please divert it to road P. Chief engineer will write to secretary PWD. And secretary PWD will write to finance department that we want this diversion, or we want to surrender this money. Okay. Now what happens? This is such a long process that by the time approval comes for the financial year is already over, and when the fund is, we are not able to utilize it. Instead of this, in tribal districts or tribal areas, we have introduced single line administration. Single line administration means that we have appointed a single line administrator. Single administrator means that he will be head of the department of all the departments. Single administrator he is head of the department for that. He is for education, he is director of education. For PWD is engineer chief. For horticulture is director of horticulture. For agriculture is director of agriculture. Right? Now in single administration, what happens that we have 5 identities. Say starting with tenor, we have DC tenors as single administrator. Then we cross over to speaking. We have ADM as the single administrator. Then we go to Lahore. We have DC law. Right? Then we have Pangi. We have resident commissioner Pangi. Then we have Harmor. ADM Harmor is the. Now, prior this was introduced in 1986. In Himachal Pradesh, single administration was introduced in 1986. What was happening? You are aware that tribal areas are so cut off. Earlier, you see, now we have WhatsApp and all these facilities and phone and all. Earlier, you see, there was hardly on contact. So, by the time the proposal used to come from the tribal areas, you see, by the time letter would reach Simla, and you see, action of Pinor and Hangi was asking for diversion. So, you see, by then the financial would end. So, it was decided that we should empower the local administration to take decision on behalf of the government. And it was in 1986 that single administration was introduced in RC. RC Pangi was appointed as single administrator. Subsequently, in 88, it was, and then you see extended to all the activities. Now, how single administration is different from other administration? One, you have to understand that RC for Pangi, DC, Pinor and Lahore for law skating, ABC for speaking, and ADM for Brahma, they are single administrator. So the first feature of this is that the single line administrators are actually of all departments in respective activity. Now the axiom does not have to come to Shibla for approval of the GURJI'S for finance department. The deputy commissioner, he submits the file to the deputy commissioner and obtains the orders. You see, there is a proper procedure known as financial sanction, administrative approval and financial sanction. Means that if you want to carry out this work, please give us funds, allow us to utilize the funds. Now, this deputy commissioner or single administrator has all the powers of head of the department. So they can give the permission in the field itself. Right? Number two, in normal government, you see, letters are written. The axiom, you see, would write letter to chief engineer who is sitting in Simla, then chief engineer writes a letter to the secretary, then secretary will send the file to the finance. But here, we don't write letters in single administration. You see, the head of the office, concerned head of the office, for example, district agriculture office, he is head of the office, submits file to single line administrator. He just prepare a proposal, take the file, go to the deputy commissioner, convince him of the argument, and obtain approval thereof. He did not write to him or his chief engineer. Now this deputy commissioner has the power of GDN in chief also. He has the power of direct agriculture. He is, you see, fully competent to allow the sanctions. I told you actually. Number two, file submission, no letter writing, no delay, right? Then this deputy commissioner or the single administrator is also the disciplinary authority of all class 3 employees or non-class 3, class 3 and 4. Means he can take any disciplinary action against inspector of agriculture, a clerk sitting in some rural development department who is not working, where earlier in other districts DC cannot take action. If suppose somebody in the agriculture department is not behaving properly in the agriculture department in similar district, what will happen? The control lies with the district agriculture officer. He can write to director agriculture, send director agriculture to write to secretary, and then immediate action can be taken. But here, you see, simply the DAO or the action has to write to the district official, and the action can be taken against. Then, fourth is in government service, there is a very important tool. We call it annual confidential report, ACR. Every government, you see, we write ACR of every officer, official every year about his conduct and about his performance. Now, in non-tribal district, a single deputy commissioner cannot write ACRs of the people working in PWD department. But in tribal area, deputy commissioner or the ADM or ADC, whoever is a single administrator, decides, you see, accepts the ACRs of non-district officers, and writes the ACRs or initiates the ACRs of all the officers. Means he controls the machinery. Now you can understand that in a district, when you see you have somebody sitting at the top who can control all the departments. So you can understand that what can be the pace of the because there is no nepotism. Okay. And what happens is that apart from this, when you see something is beyond the control of HOD, the deputy commissioner is a single administrator is the head of the department. But if it is beyond his competence, he does not have to go to the secretary, he doesn't have to go to the secretary for obtaining approvals. He will straightway write to Commissioner Tribal Development that we need this diversion in budget. We need this diversion in the budget, and the Commissioner Tribal Development approves that. This system has enabled, you see, the effective implementation of Tribal Subplan, effective control of the administration in the tribal areas, and since then, tremendous development. If you compare the statistics of, you see, 70s with today of tribal area, see how much development is taking place in the tribal area of education. Himachal Pradesh is one of the most progressive states as far as tribal development is concerned. All other states, you see, when we attend meeting in the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, New Delhi, they give example of Himachal Pradesh because of three things. One, Tribal Subplan, 9% year area. Funds. Number two, we have a separate demand, budget demand for tribal area, and third, the single administration. I am not really sure because of, you see, I have gone very obsolete today. I have realized that my method of instruction has become very obsolete. The things have changed. You see these systems. I am a traditional, you see, that whiteboard and blackboard teacher. You see, where I build the arguments. Then I try to build, and then the peak is reached where the students understand. Anyway, I'm not really sure whether you have understood the concept, but I think a sort of interactive session will be better. If you want to ask any questions, then I think I'll be able to explain. If you have any questions, if suppose I ask you that in examination, now coming from the English point of view, another important thing I forgot to tell you, that now this is not known as tribal subplan. Starting from, you are aware that when Niti Ayog came, Niti Ayog made three important things. One, you see, now we don't have the classification plan and non-plan. Earlier, all the funds in the budget were allocated in plan Non-plan. What is plan? Plan is basically development expenditure. When you create something new, that is plan. Right? In non-plan, we used to do the maintenance expenditure. Right? If you want to construct a new road, that is plan. If you are buying a new bulldozer, it's a plan expenditure. But if you want to maintain it, that is non-plan. But now you see that this has been done away with. Now we have development and non-development. We don't say plan and non-plan, we say development and non-development. Number two, this tribal subplan has now been renamed as Tribal Area Development Plan. Now it has become TADB from 21-22, from the financial year 21-22. So the question can be in the examination, what nomenclature has been given to the tribal subplan? Your answer would be tribal area development. Right? And one of the main reason is that our tribal plan is area specific. Main focus, you see, you are aware that more than 60% of the tribal population lives outside tribal areas. But they are not the main focus of the tribal area development, TADP. The main focus is the area. Area means enough or last with and so they are butchers living in Sesima or in our solar Mandi districts. But you see, that is they are under the major general plan. But our tribal subplan is oriented towards area. Okay? And now, how the classification has been done? The classification is not plan and non-plan, it is development and non, right? Now the questions can come to you from examination point of view, I am saying. Objective question can be, what is the new name of tribal subplan? Right? Plan, non-plan instead of development and no. What are the important tribal? How many activities are there? Single administration was introduced in Himachal Pradesh. Which was the ITDP where it was introduced for the first time? Now, is it implemented in all the districts? We have single administration in all the districts?
All the ITDPs.
Sorry, all ITDPs?
Yes.
Yes, we have single administration, all the ITDPs, right? Which agency, which department controls the tribal area development plan? Tribal. Right? Now, which is the ultimate chief controlling authority of demand number 31? Commission. Right? These type of questions can be there. Or it can be allocation that you can find. I have given you the information that what are the allocations. So simple, if you by chance, if you know the state plan, and you by the way forget the figure of KDP, simply find 9% of that would be the correct answer. If you know that the state plan is of 200 crore, the TSP has to be TADP has to be 80 crore. That is the state plan. And in single administration, what are the salient features of single administration? Number one,
Is head of all department.
the first feature is that we have single line administrator. He is the head of the department of all. Second feature,
He does not need to write letters.
yes, the file is submitted. The department head of the office would write letters to the single administrator, submit the file first. Third,
He is the head of discipline authority of class.
yes, this is the authority of class. And fourth, he accepts the ACRs of class and initiatives of all the. These are the main features of single administration. What are the advantages of tribal subplan? The single is examination. You see, in examination, you have to be, you see, very specific and to the point. Okay. What are the advantages of tribal subplan? Yes. Number one, you see, minimum allocation is ensured. Right?
Yes.
That is
9%.
right. Number two, if bottom-up approach is followed, bottom-up approach is followed, right? Bottom approach means PEC onwards, right? From PEC it comes to the ITDP, then Department Tribal Development, it consolidates that within the tribal subplan, right? Full utilization of funds is achieved. In another way, we can say that funds do not lapse. Or whatever is earmarked. Earlier, otherwise, what was happening? That you see, a project officer, say some agriculture officer or some education officer in one year, was given 20 lakh rupees to carry out certain workshops. But you see, there will be slow fall, and the fund would remain unutilized. By then, the financial year would end. So the tribal area was deprived of the benefit of those 20 lakh. Now, what happens? That he immediately diverts this fund to some other activity where it is utilized. He can buy equipment for the next year. He can give it to PWD, he can give it to IPH to buy new pipes. The funds don't lapse. You see, the fund, this 9% is utilized, right? And then how it is full utilization takes place by timely diversion. Diversion was taking place earlier also. Diversion was, but you see there, it was that diversion was taking place. The officer used to say that when we have it's a snowfall, heavy snowfall in Pilong, heavy snowfall in Pangi, that is, I have this money, let me spend this money in Bilaspur. Right? But now you cannot divert funds out of demand number 31. Anything booked within demand number 31, the TSP appears in demand number 31. This can be the question which is the demand for of tribal area, that is demand number 31. This can be put it, right? So nothing can be allocated out or appropriated out of demand number 31. Means any money meant for tribal area has to be spent. Now these are the better advantages of tribal subplan. Now coming to the single administration, what are the advantages of single administration? Number one, the felt need, the funds are utilized as per felt needs of the area. Means what the PSC wants, they approve the deputy commissioner for the civil administration, that's what we want. Otherwise, earlier, director education was decided, or engineering chief was deciding which role is important, but now the local people, local policy is deciding that we need this role. So, like needs of the area, you see, are being attended. Right? Number two, quick decision. So this is ensuring timely completion of projects. It is ensuring timely completion of projects. In this also, the advantage of PSP will come that full utilization of funds is being ensured by this. Now, just think that you are sitting in examination hall, and this question comes that what are the advantages of single administration? What more points can you just think? that you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to approach the national capital or the state capital. You have taken a decision, you want to implement it, and you have a herd city who will give approval. Say, a deputy commissioner city in Dharamsala has to approach, or the exchange city in Dharamsala has to approach the secretary in Simla, but not so in tribal areas. The exchange can approach straightaway, take the file, go to DC office, obtain his approval. Right? What can be the other advantages? Just suppose it's a, you have to say 5 marks question in the game.
Decentralization of power.
Yes, decentralized. What I'm trying to say, you must have the capacity to, you see, extend or shorten this. Depending on, say, if it's 2 mark questions, your answer has to be different. If 5 marks, then your answer has to be different. 10 marks. So you must learn to contract for extended. So you will find that 3 things are interrelated in tribal administration. 1, TSP. Second, demand. Number 31. And 3, single line administration. All these are related. From here when we start that funds are earmarked. These are the advantages of TSP. Funds are earmarked. So this ensures minimum allocations. Now funds are there. You have money in your pocket. But somebody else is taking it away. Earlier you see other districts, you see this money used to be diverted to other districts. You have the money. Now demand number 31 is ensuring non-diversion of funds from tribal to non. Funds cannot be diverted from tribal area to non-tribal. No fund can be spent out of demand number 31. Once a fund appears under demand number 31, it goes beyond the control of funds or other departments. It comes under the control of mission tribal development, it comes under the control of single administration. Right? And single line administration is ensuring optimal utilization of funds. Tribal administration, these 3 things you must remember. Tribal Subplan, if you have any question, please feel free.
ऑनलाइन आप इधर आ जाओ साथ से आज
I'll be coordinating. So now we'll carry on the session with question answers. So all this, if you are having any queries, you can directly ask. And for online students, you can either unmute yourself or you can write your queries in the chat box.
Okay, sir. I have a doubt, sir. So, like, sir, by declaring a certain area scheduled area, so locals will have some benefits or some privileges for tribal. But we have seen, that the community of Champa has been migrated to Panku and Dharamshala regions, and still they are benefiting from Miss quota or whatever, sir. So how is this your experiment? They are migrating from remote area to a city area and still getting benefits. So how can this be?
These are actually larger questions. You see, the reason is that another similar question can be that we have a reservation for the economically weaker section, right? Or you see, there is a scheduled tribe officer, a scheduled caste officer whose father is an IAS officer. He died as cabinet secretary. His son or daughter is getting the reservation. So you see, these are the initial policies. It's a much wider discussion.
So the basic is that they have been getting
You
quota.
see, there are different ways of justifying it or you see condemning it. You see what happens, whatever we are today, you see, for example, we have taken everything from our ancestors, you see. So, their ancestors definitely have seen difficult times. For example, the forefathers, the people, you see, from where they started, you see, the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe or the tribal section, they faced really difficult times, faced tough times. Whereas in non-tribal or a non-scheduled caste candidate or other backward, you see, they had much better time, right? So, yeah, you see, it depends upon the situation, but it's a national level policy. I think I'll not be, you see, this is not right forum to discuss it, that whether they should be given reservation or not. I mean, yes, because here our focus is not the administrative policy or the reservation policy. I think you, excuse me.
ये सर इंटरव्यू फेस करते हैं हम लोग या कभी तो जैसे उसमें बायोडाटा का वो गैप आ जाता है, जैसे मेरी डिग्री पिछले साल खत्म हो गई है, इस साल मैंने ब्रेक लिया है, अगर इंटरव्यू में पूछते कि आपने क्यों ब्रेक लिया है, उसको कैसे जस्टिफाई कर सकते हैं हम लोग?
वो आई थिंक we'll come to the this when you see when that stage comes, you see, because there are several, there can be, you see, you decided to prepare for the exam, decided you are preparing for the competitive exam, there can be various reasons. What can, the best thing is come out with a genuine reason, because then you can justify it fully. Whenever you create an explanation, that is artificial. So the best thing is that stay natural. This is what I've seen, and the interview board always likes it. When you are honest and transparent, they like it, because in administration, in an officer, you see, they want him to transparent and be sincere and honest. In interview, you see, interview is a very different game altogether. So presently, your focus has to be, don't bother about this. These questions really don't matter. I'll give you an example. You see, when I appeared before the interview board in HUS, prior to that, I was a college teacher. Then from IES, I was in account services, and I didn't like the account services. And I was, I was moving from one place. My last posting was Deputy Controller Defense Accounts. Right? I was in 84 batch. My posting was Deputy Controller Defense Accounts. I didn't like the job. I was not happy in UP. I was not happy in Tamil Nadu, because I was Deputy Controller Defense Accounts. They say, oh, TCD is our, TCD is our. But I was not happy. I was from Wales. I decided to return and became a college lecturer again. College lecturer to IES, Central Services, then again college lecturer. And I returned as college lecturer because I wanted to be in my state and I wanted to serve my people. And from there I wrote HUS. And in the very first attempt I was able to make it. So this question was asked, that what is the guarantee that you will stay in HUS? See, prior to HUS, I was college lecturer. Sorry, I forgot one more stage. Then I became Assistant Commissioner Tribal Development in 1984.
Yes, sir.
From Assistant Commissioner Tribal Development, I went to account services. From account services, I became a lecturer and then appeared in HUS. So that was the fifth stage. So this question was asked me, what is the guarantee that you will stay, that you will not waste it? So depends to see if you are honest. So I answered whatever I felt was correct. What was the question? I told them I was very unhappy in account services. And I became a lecturer because that allowed me to prepare for HUS. I was very transparent. They said that they were happy. Very, very happy. I have seen in interview, if you are honest, you see, they can see through you. You can't hide from, because they are so experienced people. They know everything. So don't bother. This will not be very important. They'll understand. There can be several reasons for the play.
So like, so we have some areas in future also, so like Hearty Drive. You will see that Hearty Drive will see in future, sir. They will be getting reservations, sir. So, but that area, sir, if it is not declared a scheduled area, so how will administration differ in that area regarding to that place?
The Hearty, Hati will not be covered under tribal subplan or tribal area. So they will not get any earmarking of it. Because the TADP is an area specific approach. So the funds of TADP will go only to the tribal. But they will get the other benefits of reservation. So that is why you see as it became a political issue in previous elections. The reason was that that area has sizable population of scheduled castes. Then there is a community Gurjar. They are the scheduled tribes, declared scheduled tribes in Ceylon. Now there are certain posts which are district order posts. You see, for example, class 4 posts. There are many posts you see in which candidate from Kangra cannot compete in Hamilpur, or candidate from Hamilpur cannot compete in Simla only. So what has happened? Those reserved posts or tribal were meant for Gurjars. So now Hatti have come. So now Gurjar will have to share that post with the Hatti. Then similarly, what happened? There is an act known as SC/ST atrocity act. Yes. So if suppose that act is invoked, so you see that act has been made to give justice to the scheduled tribe and scheduled caste. But if there is a complaint against a general candidate, it is viewed very, very seriously. But now say I am a non-caste person, and there is a complaint against me by Mr. P that Mr. Rakesh Sharma committed this atrocity on me. It was viewed very, very seriously. Now what happens in the process during this time? I have become a scheduled tribe. Earlier I was general candidate. Now by this notification I have become a scheduled tribe. Now this complaint becomes of scheduled caste against scheduled tribe. Scheduled tribe also has some protection. Scheduled caste also has some protection. So the case of scheduled caste has been weakened now. So the scheduled caste people, you see, many of them they went against those because they thought that their rights have been taken. Because in certain areas atrocities are still being committed. But then it became a case of ST versus SC instead of general versus
Please. Like in single line of administration, when there is only one administrator and he is the head of the department for all the departments. So doesn't it put too much burden upon the officer and he may ignore some things and efficiency of the delivery campaign when he has to overlook all the departments.
You see what happens when you go to the subdivision, I think it is mostly accepted. You see, no, they are the subdivision. Subdivision is very small unit, right? Rather, you see, when you do the STM, you will find that it is very difficult to govern a subdivision. The reason is that a subdivision officer, STM, is actually captain of the subdivision without any formal order. The minister of the chief minister expects SDM to get the role completed. You see what happens whenever a case becomes or the minister comes, the first person he meets in the subdivision is. Now what happens whenever he looks back, the chief minister looks back at you and he says, SDM sir, you have to kara dena. But SDM does not have formal authority on Excel, he doesn't have formal authority on the Excel IP page. Then he keeps on requesting. It is very difficult to govern a subdivision which is not a single administration. Right? So, to the HAS, you see, when I go, I tell all the HAS candidates, the probationers, that when you are in the district, when you are in the subdivision, you will be the captain of the team. Captain of the team means that there can be other players who are better than you. See, for example, I'm the captain, they would left off or center forward. Messi was not always the captain. Right? So, but he was the best. Now the duty of the captain was to coordinate, ensure that the team works in a coordinated manner. It is more difficult to get the coordination done when there is no forward coordination. Then that depends entirely on your person. You are the captain. You are to be respected as captain without having a formal authority. Right? But in single administration, you are the captain of authority. You decide which player to play. You can exclude a player from the team. Then you are a very effective captain. So this is my experience that it is easier to govern or do administration in SLA than in non-SLA. Because we have the forward authority and it's not a very big deal. One disadvantage is there, of course, that I have seen from my experience. That disadvantage is that you see that, for example, it is most in technical departments. In technical departments, you see the estimate prepared by an existing engineer that checked by the SC. Approved by the SC or checked by the chief engineer, they are all technical people. Here, estimate prepared, expenditure sanction is from by SC is obtained from this. He is not a technical person. So sometimes there have been complaints of corruption for inflated estimates. A road which can be constructed in 1 crore that is being constructed in 2 crore. Or it leaves many allotments to the SLA, single administrator. Sometimes what happens that when you go very high, like you go to the top of the mountain, and from there you can see everything. You feel, oh, you are at the top. You are at the top. You are above all. But actually you seldom realize that there are other mountains which are much higher than the one where you are standing. There people see there are than you. This is what happens in SLA. Many people you see who are not very mature or who get early appointments as single administrators, they tend to be living in a very different world. They feel master of the area, whereas actually they are not. They are the captain. Very honest. So these are two disadvantages. One, sometimes you see it leads to corruption and more inflated bills. This is what happens. Right? But otherwise, it's a very, very good. And it has also been seen that when an STM Parmor was posted from Parmor to Chopal, from one difficult area to another. But you see, here it was enjoying all the powers. When he reached Chopal, he would call FCL. FCL will not report to him. He said, "Sir, I have to down." He would ask him, "I have got a report from the SC." Because their SC is the boss, na? So it became very difficult for him to adjust in non-tribal area. ADC Kala. You see, after ADC Kala, people are posted as STM Julinder Nagar or STM Vietnam or STM. They don't see that as part.
Any online doubt? Sir, I have one question. Sir, like we have in Himachal Pradesh, we are having this tribal subplan and single land administration. As compared to the autonomous district that is in 6 schedules, so how it is different and why this criteria or this type of administration is not applicable?
In Himachal? You see, that is a constitutional provision, and you have the district council law, because the problems there are entirely different. You see, you can ask this question in the same way that why we don't have single administration in other districts, right? So whatever has been our constitution is provided for it, right? So I think you can answer it better.
Six is there in Northeast because of the historical merger of those Northeast
There are many
systems
reasons for that.
and their respective demands.
So my question is that administration is better in that kind of administration or in single line?
Courses for courses actually. It is like it depends. Single line administration will not be successful in say Mohali. Same way the administration demands of say a Karpi Ablong or a Dima South would be entirely different from what we need.
There are two reasons of single administration. Why single administration? Number one, the area was removed. These were not accessible. So it was very difficult to communicate from those areas with the state headquarters. So it was decided that the decision-making authority sit there. The second reason was that these areas were snowbound. Right? They would be cut off for 3-4 months. So it was decided that funds must be, because December, January, February, we have very heavy snowfall in the areas. The areas are cut off. The funds must be utilized. Now only 1 month will be left March. So that is why I forgot to tell you that there are different norms in the budget spending. What happens that suppose as head of the department, I have got a budget say of 5 crore. So I cannot spend 5 crore tomorrow. There is a quarterly, you see, I'll just explain here. There are quarterly expenditure norms. In northern area and tribal area, the entire year is divided in 4 quarters. If suppose in the first quarter here we can spend 15%, in the second 20, something like that, you see norms are given. But in tribal area, now this fellow cannot spend more than 35% of the budget in the 2 quarters. It is not that I have got 100 crore rupees, I spend 100 crore tomorrow, or no. I am bound by these norms. At the most, in the first quarter, I can spend 15 crore. In the second, but here, you see, he has the tribal people have, you see in this area, they can go up to 25 or 40. Say, money in 2 quarters, they can spend up to 65%. Whereas in non-tribal area, they cannot. So, the reason was that because in the 4th quarter or in the 3rd quarter, say in November, December, January, this is the 3rd and 4th quarter, and February, there will be snow. No development work will take place. You will not be able to spend. So before this period comes, the money must be properly utilized. So that is why it was decided that single administrator will be more effective. They need not come. Or there can be some indoor activities, you see, the officer will not be able to reach it. So better give authorize the person. So these are expenditure norms. In budget, you see, every department, every you see quarter, you can't go beyond that norm.
Was it like taking the lessons from Himachal model? Even in Arunachal Pradesh, we have single line administration. So it's not like that despite the fact this schedule area of 6 schedules, it's still.
Yes, you can have single. You see, there was a report actually. There was a I don't want to go into that. There was a report from Ishwari Prasad. That committee recommended in 1970s that in all the backward areas, he introduced this concept. He gave this suggestion, recommendation that in all the backward areas or all the areas of the country which are cut off, let's not have the normal administration. We have a different model for that civil administration. And Himachal Pradesh took a cue from that report. We took a cue from that report and implemented it. We learned actually from that report.
Any other doubt?
Can we imply any features of single line administration in normal areas?
Can we?
Imply any features of single line administration in normal areas?
No. How can you? The reason is that you need authority. The government will have to do this system. For example, if you see there are other non-tribal areas in Himachal, they don't require a single administration. It can be, you see, if the government decides, why not? For example, Dodra Gwar also has single administration. It's not a tribal area. But now Dodra Gwar is connected. You see, I remember in early 90s, when I was ADM Shimla, Dodra Gwar was a part of Shimla. So we used to go up to Rodu. Anybody from Shimla district? They're from Shimla district, right? So you must be aware. The road was only up to Chidgaon. There is a place Chidgaon. From Chidgaon there is a place road. From the road we used to climb. And then we used to reach Chanchar. From Chanchar again you see going down, then Dodra, then going further down, crossing Rupin, then climbing for Kwa. So if suppose there is an inquiry, if you see the ADM who I succeeded, See, there was what was happening in rural Goa. This is scheme known as Apple Procurement Scheme. Are you aware? That the government, the HPMC or government agency procure apple from the farmers, right? Then this is also known as market information scheme or different name. So what the people were doing there, it was not possible. We were procuring apple there. When apple was procured, how to sell it, dispose it off? When we procure apple from similar district, we bring it to Purwan. We have a factory there, or we sell it in the open market, or do whatever we want to do. But from rural Goa, you have procured 1 ton of apple. What to do with it? It is not collected. So government decided to dispose it off there in the nalas and river. Take it away from the habitation so that there is no smell, but destroy it there only. What people did, they went to those nalas, collected those apples and resold under MIS. Same apple, you see, it was sold again, and an inquiry was instituted. And I was given that inquiry. So, inquiry is a big punishment. Means we will have to do 30 kilometers one way. And you see, crossing Chanchal, not playing 30 kilometers, going from here to Ropar, no. It was, you see, crossing Chanchal, then returning via Uttarakhand, Malda and Tuni, all these things. We used to take that. So I remember, but now Goa is connected. Maybe after some time we will remove single administration from there. But there are other non-tribal areas where we do have single administration like Goa. So depending upon the situation, government can always.
Very good afternoon, everyone. I, Aditi Pathak, on behalf of SMM Academy, is here to give vote of thanks to today's resource person, respected Mr. Rakesh Sharma sir, to give his valuable time for today's session, a tribal subplan and single line administration. Respected sir, we learned a lot from your experiences on working of tribal development program and many new things such as the way you conveyed the article for the single line administration, that is 244.1, and the schedules that you described. Also you covered the salient features of the single line administration and the advantages of the development program and the disadvantages, and the difference between the single line administration between normal areas and tribal areas. Respected sir, we are very much obliged and grateful to have you with us today. A big thank you to you, sir, from core of our hearts for such a fruitful session. Now, I would like to call Director of our Academy, Mr. Manmeet Thapar, to give your token of thanks.
I apologize. I today I realized that my method of instruction is going to be absolute. So in the next, you see, ever we have a chance to meet, I like to take training first to use the modern gadgets, because I find that what I wanted to convey and interact to you. You see, it was not done. Even I am not satisfied. I'm sure that there will be many gaps. There are lots. So I would request the Academy administration to please give me training in advance for my next lecture, so that I am able to handle the modern tools, right? So you see, we are vintage now, models. So please don't mind if you see there's some gaps. And I request them if you can convey them, send them the notes. Because whatever share. Thank you so much. And all the best. Hope to see you in all of you.